Hi everyone, how are you today? I am just gonna wait a few more seconds before we get started for some last minute people to join the session, and then we'll go ahead and get ready. In the meantime, just know that if you have any questions at all during the presentation, feel free to send them in the chat and I will answer them as they come up, or I'll answer them at the end. And there will also be a question period at the end as well if you want to save your questions until the end. All right, just gonna wait. Let me just wait a few more seconds and then I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I just want to say thank you all for joining me tonight as well. I'm really excited to get this presentation going. All right, looks like we have some last minute people popping in, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started right now. All right, well, hi everyone, and thank you for joining me today. This presentation will be on what to expect as an influencer, and I will go over all things influencer related, and I will walk you through the campaign process in case you've never worked on a campaign before or you're looking to get started. So before we start here, my name is Rowan, and I have been working at Embold since the beginning of 2021. So I've been there for over a year and a half now. And so I am the marketing and communications lead at the company, but I also do a lot of campaign management as well. So if you are currently on the Embold platform or you are looking to join, we've probably worked together before or we will work together sometime in the future. And so I know everything related to campaigns, and so I have some tips and tricks here in this presentation for you to get you started and make sure that you are utilizing your influencer strategy to the fullest. So just briefly here, a quick intro to influencer marketing. We all know that social media has taken a huge grasp on our day-to-day lives, and with that has come a huge wave of advertising. So because of that, influencers are the key to advertising online, and they actually open many doors for advertisers to reach niche audiences, and they're a great way to connect these brands to their target market because people actually trust peers, so influencers, over traditional advertisements. So it's amazing to see how that integration has worked. And so with an influencer campaign, influencers create content. Typically, we do Instagram. So on Instagram, we would do posts and stories. And more popular now is Reels because we see a lot of engagement there as well. So Embol has a mission to work with influencers and make influencer marketing simple for you, affordable, and efficient. And our vision is to build a solution that makes influencer marketing the easiest and most effective tool for marketers. So our mission and our vision go hand in hand. On one side, we're looking to better these experiences for influencers and then also provide a solution that is easily accessible for advertisers so that they can do everything on the Embold platform hassle-free. And the same goes for you. You'll be able to access the platform, and we want to make sure that finding these campaign opportunities are also hassle-free. So currently in the market, we have 3 different solutions for influencer marketing. The first is influencer agencies. Now, influencer agencies are quite expensive because you do have to pay a fee to these agencies to work with them, and they also do take a percentage of your compensation. And primarily, they work with macro influencers. So we define macro influencers as somebody with 100,000 to 500,000 or even 100,000 to 500,000 followers. And so with these larger scale influencers, they are the ones primarily working with agencies, and that's probably because they do have the budget for that because they are a larger influencer, they are getting paid more per collaboration, and therefore when that percentage is taken from them, it doesn't affect them as greatly. And then next we have manually in-house, and this just means when brands recruit influencers themselves for influencer marketing. Now, this can be super difficult to negotiate compensation for the influencer. So as an influencer, it can be hard to be talking to these brands and trying to advocate for yourself because the brand has their own best interest at heart, and there's nobody there advocating for you, the influencer. And it's also time consuming. It takes a lot of time, the back and forth between you and the brand. And with the brand doing everything in-house, they have less time to respond. And so a collaboration agreement that shouldn't take more than a week ends up taking months. And so that can be time consuming and very taxing on you as the influencer. And lastly, your needs aren't being met because the client again is only focused on themselves and what makes this campaign worthwhile to them while they neglect the feelings of these influencers. And then lastly is influencer platforms. So platforms like in Bold, but not in Bold. So these other platforms, they will take a percentage of your compensation. If you are signed up on any other influencer marketing platforms, you might have experienced a sign up fee. So signing up is not free. And you may have also noticed that there are hidden fees when you are agreeing to a compensation. So you might agree that you're going to be paid $500 for a campaign, and then at the end of the campaign, you see, oh, wait, but they take 20% of my compensation or something like that. So, and this is really hard on an influencer as well because you're not being fully compensated for your work because you do have to pay the platform to be on it. And another downside to using influencer platforms other than in Bolt is that they don't actually have a lot of opportunities for Canadian influencers. And this can be really difficult for Canadian influencers to get started. So um, we want to provide a solution that is there for these Canadian influencers. So why choose in Bold? We're actually based in Calgary, Alberta. So we are a local Canadian company and we have a team of very young, creative, passionate, and hardworking individuals. Our team is extremely young and we're all very driven. And it really makes working with influencers exciting because we understand the market and we are immersed in it ourselves. As in young people, we have access to all these different forms of social media, so we understand the ins and outs of the industry and we can better help our influencers. And another great thing about Embold is that you don't have any sign up fees. If you want to become an influencer on the platform, there is no sign up fee and there's no hidden compensation percentages taken out. So if you agree to $500 with the client on a campaign, you get that full 100 or $500. We will not take anything from you. That is fully your money and we don't want it. We just want to provide you with a solution to getting campaigns in a fast, affordable way. So we want to make sure that you're being compensated fairly and we don't want anything from you. And then lastly is guaranteed payments. So you can know that no matter what work you do, you will be paid out accordingly. If you submit a bid for $500, you are going to be paid out that $500 if that bid is accepted, regardless of what happens. Let's say the campaign is supposed to only take a week and it takes a month for the client to finally approve content. You will still be paid out at the end of that campaign, no matter what the circumstance might be. So at Embold, we actually are simplifying influencer marketing for Canadians. So we have a very large roster of influencers that's continuously growing. The last time we counted, I believe we have over 6,000 influencers across Canada, but that number grows every single day. So I think we are well over 6,000 influencers, and it's so amazing to see because we love connecting with all of you and we love providing you all with opportunities. And another thing is that our platform is affordable and accessible. And that goes both ways. It's affordable and accessible for you, the influencer, because there's no sign up fees and there's no hidden fees when you are working on a campaign. But it's also affordable and accessible for our clients. We're providing them with a solution where it doesn't take a toll on them to be on the platform. And that's how we have continuous campaigns for our influencers because we're providing a solution that's affordable for the clients to want to come and use in Bold. So for influencers, we have different key, I'm blanking on the word, key search tool items. So when you are signing up as an influencer, this data here is collected. So the data on the left-hand side is collected automatically when you sync your Instagram account. And then the data on the right-hand side is additional data that you can include when you're setting up your profile. So what I would personally recommend is that when you are creating your influencer account, to always include the type of content that you're interested in and your own personal interest. So sorry, when I said type of content, I meant to say the type of content that you post about and then your influencer interests. And those are like the two key things that I would include, as well as your location. So when brands are searching for influencers, a lot of the time they're filtering by location, and so it's very important to have that there. And then they will also search or filter by type of content, because right now, let's say we're working with a brand that is providing protein shakes for the influencers. So they're looking for influencers who are focused in fitness, health and wellness, yoga, and things like that. So these are actually filters that you can put on for your type of content of the things that you post about. So we highly recommend putting that, because this client, those are their filters when they're looking for influencers. So they're looking for influencers who have one of those three things in their type of content. And then another thing is, if they want to go even more specific in the type of influencer, they will also look into influencer interests. So maybe your content isn't focused around fitness and health and wellness, but if you have an interest in those things, you could also be a great fit for the campaign. So the client will filter by those as well. And then another thing that I would highly recommend including in your influencer bio profile when you're creating it is, in fact, the bio. So there is an option for you to write a little bit about yourself. And I would recommend including this, because when clients are going in and selecting influencers, they might want to get to know you a little bit better, because they can't meet you face to face. And so they're going completely off of a screen and what the information in front of them is. So they'll go to your influencer profile and they'll often read your bio to get to know you a little bit better, see who you are as a person, and see if you're the right fit for this campaign. So, your bio doesn't have to be anything crazy, nothing huge, but I would definitely recommend including something in your bio, just kind of giving a brief introduction to your to the client about yourself. Sorry, I got like tongue tied there. So I would recommend including that, because it's really important that you're building that relationship with the client, even though you're not meeting face to face. So we consider Embold to be the ultimate influencer platform, because it is the only platform that you need to launch your influencer career. You don't need to go anywhere else to find campaigns. We always have campaigns running on the platform, and there's always continuous opportunities for you to be earning money as an influencer. So our platform leverages you as the influencer to provide precise analytics and connect you with brands looking to grow revenue through engaging content. So this means we are always looking for brands that will fit into your specific niche and that you will be able to collaborate with, because we always want to make sure that you have opportunities there for you to grow as an influencer. So before we jump into this next part here, I'm going to pause for a second. If anybody has any questions, feel free to send them over. If not, I'm just going to jump right in. And I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm just going to go ahead. So this here is the campaign process. So I'm going to go over everything you need to know for the campaign process. So if you've never worked on a campaign before, or you're new to Embold, or you're looking to sign up for Embold, this is what the steps are when you are about to work on a campaign. So first things first is to create your profile. So sign up on Embold, create your account, and fill in that information that I suggested to you earlier. So include that type of content that you have, your location, your interests, and also your bio. Put a photo. I think that's a great thing as well. Making sure you have a photo there so clients can put a face to the content. They want to get to know you a little bit better. Just know that this is basically your introduction to the client. Your whole profile is them getting to know you better. So once you have all of your information in there, you're ready to get started. So step 2 is wait for invites. And now this can actually go one of two ways. So first of all, you can wait for invites, or you can apply to campaigns yourself. So clients can choose to invite you to a campaign. themselves. So they often go through the influencer list and they get to know you and see what influencers they think would be a good fit. And so they'll automatically invite you to the campaign. And what this means is that when you see the campaign, you aren't actually in the campaign, but they're inviting you to take a look at the campaign and apply if you think this is the right fit for you as well. So that's one of the ways. The second way is to actually apply to campaigns yourself. If you go into the influencer marketplace, you can see all the campaigns that are there in your area. Now, this can be a deterrent because sometimes people think that there are no campaigns on the platform because they're not seeing anything in their marketplace, but it's actually the opposite. Just because there's nothing in the marketplace doesn't mean that there is nothing there for you. It just might mean that there are campaigns on the platform, but they're set either A, to invitation only, and so that means clients only have their campaign visible to people that they invite to the campaign. B, it could be that the campaign is set to a location that is outside of your area, or C, if it's Canada-wide. So oftentimes if a campaign does not have a set location, you won't be able to see it in the marketplace. So if that's the case, just know that it doesn't mean that there's no campaigns on the platform. It just means that you'll just have to wait for one of these other options to present itself to you. So you would have to wait hypothetically for a campaign invitation in that sense. But otherwise, there are normally always campaigns in the marketplace. So next is review. So if you are applying to a campaign or you've been invited to a campaign, review. Please read that campaign brief because we don't want you to be applying to any campaigns where, it's not something that you align with, or it's something that, you thought that the requirements were one thing, but the requirements are actually something completely different. And we don't want you to have that revelation later on because it causes a headache for you and for the client because they'll have to go in and, find somebody else to fill your spot. So always make sure you're reading the campaign brief and making sure that this is something that you want and that you believe in. Next is to answer the questions. So a lot of the brands will have questions there for you. There's typically like 2 or 3 questions that they will have for you to answer. And these questions are typically focused on the campaign itself. Sometimes they are quite general. So, an example would be, what makes you a great fit for this campaign? And for that, you don't need to write anything crazy. You don't need to write a whole essay, just a few sentences explaining why you are the right fit for the campaign. So, always making sure that you're giving that client that kind of personal insight on you and why you would be a great fit. So for this protein company that I mentioned earlier, the one with the protein shakes, you could write about how you're on a weight loss journey, or you had previously been on a weight loss journey, or you have a crazy hectic life and sometimes you're not getting enough protein in a day. So, these shakes would be perfect for you. There are a million ways to connect to a brand, and you don't have to answer based on what you think the brand wants. Always answer based off of what is right for you and what makes sense to you, because at the end of the day, authenticity is the most important thing. So other questions that brands might ask can be related specifically to the campaign itself. So as an example, we worked with an investment company before, and one of their questions was, have you had any previous investing experience? So in this particular case, the client wasn't looking for anybody with any previous investing experience, but it was just a question that they wanted to ask to get to know influencers a little bit better. So in this case, it wouldn't have mattered if you answered yes or no, but what's important to note is if they had been looking for an influencer with investing experience and you had answered yes when you actually hadn't, when it came time to work on that campaign, it would be more difficult for you to follow through with the campaign because this is actually something that's out of your niche, out of your comfort zone, and the client would either have to make the decision to not move forward with you or spend more time trying to train you into investing. So that's why I say it's always important to be truthful, because you never know what the client has, what their intention is for their questions. They might just want to get to know you better, or sometimes those questions are very important in moving forward with the campaign. So once you answer those questions, submit your bid. Now you just wait. Typically, we say that clients will get back to you within 1 to 2 weeks. Now, sometimes with a bigger company, a bigger client, it does take a little bit longer because there are a little bit more steps for them to go through instead of just immediately accepting an influencer into a campaign. So we always just say be mindful of that. So within 1 to 2 weeks, you should know whether or not you have been accepted into a campaign. And if you have, congratulations, now you're ready to move on to step 5. So when moving on to step 5, the client will reach out to you and they will let you know again, reiterate all the important things that you need to know for the campaign, such as when posts and stories are due, what posts and stories should look like. And if at any point you're wondering and you're kind of stuck for content ideas, reach out to the client, ask them, see if they have any inspiration for you. And you always have the campaign brief available to you on the platform. So if all else fails, you should always refer back to the platform because everything should be there for you. You should be able to see the campaign brief. You should see what the trackable links are. You should be able to see similar content. And so these should help you get inspiration and help you move forward. And the timeline is always there for you as well on the platform as well. So you can always refer back to it to know when content deadlines are and when posting schedules should be. And then once you've created your content for the campaign, you just need to submit it to the platform and the client will approve it when it's ready to go. And then lastly is reporting. So once you have completed all of your campaign requirements, so all of your posts and all of your stories, this is when you send in your analytics. So before you can be paid out for any campaign, it's important that you send out your analytics. So we are unable to actually pay anybody out for a campaign unless their analytics are sent in. But as soon as you send in your analytics, we can process your payment. So once this is done and once you have sent in your analytics, we will compensate you for your great work and you are ready for your next campaign. And now keep in mind also, you don't only need to work on one campaign at a time. You could be working on 10 campaigns at a time as long as this is manageable for you. There's no requirement on how many campaigns you can work on in a year or how many campaigns you can work on at a given time. Whatever is manageable for you, you can do that. So here are just some tips we have for selecting campaigns. And so number 1 is only accept campaigns that align with your values. If you're somebody who primarily eats vegan products, I would definitely not recommend working with a company who is promoting meat-based products. Just simple things like that, making sure that the brands that you're working with align with who you are as a person and they make sense to you. So, hand in hand with point 1 is point 2, where making sure that campaigns are a natural extension of your personal brand, making sure that they make sense to you and who you are, because you don't want to be creating content that when your followers see it, they're like, this doesn't seem like something that my influencer wanted to do. It seems like it was forced branded content, and nobody wants to see that. And then number 3 is before accepting any campaign, make sure you have no conflicts of interest. So in the service agreement that you sign on in bold for each campaign, it does state that you cannot work with a competitor 30 days before or 30 days after. So just making sure that you have no conflicts of interest. And if you're ever worried that you might, I always, always, always recommend reaching out to the brand and just clarifying with them what exactly would be considered a conflict of interest, what brand this would be, and things like that. So the clients are always there to help you, and so are we at Embold. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to us as well. We're always more than happy to help you. And then lastly is follow the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule states that 80% of your content should be natural content that is about you, things that you like, that you're always continuously posting about, and then 20% of that content can be branded content. If that 80-20 rule is reversed, it comes off as inauthentic every time you post about a sponsored post with a brand, because nobody really wants to be seeing continuous content going out about sponsorships, because people at the end of the day want to get to know you and they want to know your interests. So making sure that the sponsored content is actually a natural integration within your post so that it looks seamless and people aren't overwhelmed. And then here are some requirements we have for a successful campaign. So, first things first is you must disclose on each post that it is sponsored content. So, you have to follow Instagram's compliance rules. And with that, they must state that each post is obvious to your followers that this is a sponsored post. So, you can put a hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored or just the word ad, but making sure that that's somewhere in the caption and then tagging the client as well um, also works with that. But specifically, you need to have in your caption somewhere indicating that it's an ad. So it doesn't need to be at the very beginning. It can be at the end. It could be in the middle. It doesn't matter, just as long as your followers are aware that this is an ad and that you are being paid for this post. So if you ever have any questions about that, always let the client know what your questions are, or reach out to us, and we're more than happy to help you understand what is allowed and what would go against these Instagram compliance rules. And then next is to make sure that you are tagging the brand. So whether that's in the caption itself, in the photo, or adding them as a sponsored content partner. Now, for the most part, clients don't have you include them as a sponsored content partner just because there are a lot of influencers per campaign. And so going in and approving each person can be time consuming on their end. But if they do want you to include that as a sponsored content partner, they will reach out to you and they will let you know, and you can include that there. And then lastly is following, or sorry, not lastly, next is following the campaign schedule. So making sure that you're posting on it regularly according to the schedule. So of course we understand that things happen and not always you'll be able to follow the schedule because life is crazy sometimes, but always, always, always reach out to the client or reach out to somebody from Inbold, and we will be more than happy to help you and adjust accordingly. But don't go and not respond to anybody for weeks on end and ignore the content posting schedule, because this causes a lot of delays on the client's end, and it does cause a lot of delays on your end because the client then has to readjust, and this could ultimately have severe impact on when you are compensated for the campaign. And then lastly is making sure you're submitting your analytics. The sooner you submit your analytics, the sooner you'll be paid out. So we want you to get your compensation because you did an amazing job on the campaign. You put in that hard work. So making sure you're submitting your analytics so that you can receive your payment right away. So communication is a really important thing, especially with campaigns and especially when working online. It's very hard to have these relationships with people online, and making sure there's an open line of communication is one of the best ways to make sure all campaigns run smoothly. So first thing is to stay up to date, making sure you're checking your emails and the platform for any updates. You will not really receive any emails unless of course you're unresponsive on the platform. So the platform is your one-stop shop for everything. You'll be able to see any campaign updates in the collaboration channel. And then if the client needs anything from you specifically, they will reach out to you in a personal DM on the platform. So making sure you're always checking there. And also, you will receive a text and an email notification every time there's a change on the platform. So just keep an eye out for that as well. Then next is keep it professional. Keep your messaging between the client very professional, because a lot of the times clients will come back to us for a second, third, fourth campaign, or they'll come to us and ask for an influencer to be a brand ambassador for them. And so it's really important that we're working with these clients in a respectful manner so that you have that opportunity to be with them and be a brand ambassador for them or work for them again in the future. And then lastly is address problems. Regardless of what the problem is, always reach out. There's always going to be somebody there to help you. And the sooner we can address a problem, the sooner we can get it fixed. So reach out to the client or reach out to me or reach out to whoever your point of contact at Inbold is, and they will always be there to help you. So just keep that in mind and making sure that, that we're here to make sure everything is as easy as possible for you. And then here I just have a slide on suggested pricing because we do get a lot of questions about this. So with suggested pricing, a lot of people can get spooked by this, but this is actually just a pricing model that is created based on the algorithm that we have developed. So our algorithm has taken a bunch of influencers and averaged out their asking price based off of their analytics, so engagement rates and the total number of followers they have. Now, the suggested pricing is just a baseline model for influencers. If you're new to influencer marketing, this is a great place for you to start. You'll be able to, see here, oh, okay, I have 3,000 followers, and it says that I should or be earning $17 a post. So you can start off at that price, or you can adjust based off of, okay, that's a good starting price, but I think I'm worth $25. So whatever you think is right, you put that. The suggested pricing is just there for people who, aren't sure what they should be charging at. And so a great way to base this is first get the suggested pricing for that first campaign you're working on. And then as you work on more and more campaigns, you can adjust that suggested pricing accordingly. You'll start to know which campaigns, might require a higher compensation because there's more work involved, or which ones you can charge a little bit less because it's not as time consuming for you. And as you work on more campaigns, this is very easy for you to understand and you can move forward from there. So as you can see here, as you increase in followers, your engagement rate decreases. So when I at 2,000 followers, I have a 16.2% engagement rate, which is crazy. And then as I go up to 90,000 followers, I only have a 2.4% engagement rate. Now you might think that this is an issue, but actually this is completely normal. As you increase in followers, your engagement rate decreases, and this is completely normal. So don't ever be afraid of that as you grow in follower count. And then next here is the payment process. So I always recommend setting this up as soon as you have set up your Embold account, because this just makes things easier at the end when we're going to compensate our influencers once a campaign is over. So first things first is create that content for the campaign and then post all of the required content for the campaign and then submit your analytics. Once you've submit your analytics, we will process your payment, and as long as you have a payment method set up on the platform, it will go through right away. And next here is content rights. So we also get a lot of questions about this as well. So with content rights, we actually have the social rights to content. So in Bold and the client have social rights, which means that we are allowed to reshare your content on Instagram or social media or anything like that, as long as we are giving you the appropriate credit. So if you take a look at our Instagram account, you'll be able to see that we actually share a lot of our influencers' content on there, and we tag all of our influencers. We have highlights on it as well. Let me actually just show you our Instagram. So I'm just sharing something here. You can just click on that and it will take you to our Instagram, and there you'll be able to see any of the sponsored, any of the content that influencers have created that we've reshared, and just tag them in. And if you look in our highlights, you'll be able to see all of that influencer content as well. And so the next thing with content rights is that we actually don't have the right to use any of your photos or posts in advertising. So if it's a paid advertisement, us and the client can't use that content unless we purchase the rights from you. So we're allowed to reshare to our Instagram and our Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is, but by giving credit, but we can't use it if we are paying for advertising. So again, we would just have to purchase those rights from you. So here are some of our past customers. Some of my personal favorites are Cora and HyperX. I absolutely love working with them. We have worked with so many clients, and again, if you go onto our Instagram and in our highlights section, you can see some of those clients, and you can see some of the campaigns we're currently working on. So it's all lovely stuff. Now I just want to open the floor to any questions that anybody might have. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I have a question here that's saying, what do I do if I want to build my account? So if I have a small following. So if you are starting small, that's great. You're getting into becoming an influencer, and so you want to build your account, which is totally fair. And I would recommend that when you are looking to start building your account and gaining more followers, to always be consistent. Consistency is key. The more consistent you are, the better. So if you are creating content and posting it several times a week on a regular basis, this will naturally start to drive more traffic to your page. So I always recommend starting off with content about 3 times a week, and then from there, building and seeing what works for you. So making sure you're also posting on your stories with interactive features, and then that way your followers can start to interact, and more people will want to interact with you as well. So it's very great. And I also recommend always posting content that's authentic to you. People want to get to know you, they want to know what's going on in your life. So post content that's important to you or about you that, is engaging to you. I essentially, these people that are following you are extensions of you. They have the same interests as you. They want to know what's going on with you. And that's what makes influencers so powerful as well, because your followers trust your word because they have similar interests to you. They see themselves in you, and that's why they're following you. So yeah, it's just at the end of the day, consistency, always a great way to build your account. And with that, you will gain more and more campaign opportunities as your account grows. So I'm not seeing any other questions here. So I'm just gonna have this slide open. I know we're a little bit over time, so thank you so much for staying with me on this webinar. It was so lovely getting to know you all. Um, I'm just going to leave this here for a few seconds, and if there's any questions, please feel free to send them in the chat. And if not, my email is here on the screen, so feel free to send me an email as well with any questions that you might have. So I'm not seeing any other questions, so thank you everybody for joining me today, and I hope you all have a wonderful night.